Cleopatra is one of the most dynamic and exciting women in history. She had affairs with Julius Caesar and Mark Antony and was Egypt's last pharaoh. Her story ended when Roman troops swept into Egypt and made it part of their empire. But what if Cleopatra had survived? What if, instead of conquest, Cleopatra's Egypt had defeated Rome? In this video we will examine how history may have turned out differently had Cleopatra led her armies to victory over Rome. This is Knowledge Voyage. Cleopatra was one of history's greatest women. She was the last pharaoh of Egypt and counts Julius Caesar among her long list of lovers. Her promising career came to a sudden end when she committed suicide when facing capture by Roman troops. We have a short video about her life if you want some background. So in our timeline, Cleopatra commits suicide after an unsuccessful battle against Roman forces. But what would have happened had she won? Let's suppose her forces defeated Rome at the Battle of Actium in 31 BC. This would mean Rome would have had to accept Egypt couldn't be conquered and would have made peace. The Roman conquest of Egypt in our timeline made Rome very rich and allowed it to fund and supply further conquests. If in our alternative timeline, if Cleopatra lives and Egypt is never conquered, Rome could either become less aggressive because it would lack Egypt's resources to fund it, or it would become even more aggressive in other parts of the world to make up for the Egyptian resources it never gets. So Egypt would retain its independence, and Cleopatra would have been free to found a dynasty with her lover, Mark Antony. This would have meant pharaonic Egypt would have continued for much longer than in our timeline. It's unclear how receptive, if at all, this culture would have been to Christianity when it emerged in later years, and this wasn't too far in the future. In fact, Cleopatra personally knew Herod, the same Herod who tried to kill baby Jesus in the Massacre of the Innocents. So Cleopatra's life was not quite contemporaneous with Jesus himself. Christianity spread in Roman-controlled lands, and this was helped greatly when Emperor Constantine officially sanctioned it. But in an alternative timeline where Cleopatra survives and Egypt is not under Roman control, this state-sponsored Christianization doesn't happen. How would Cleopatra in Egypt have reacted to Christian missionaries is not clear. Egypt's religion was polytheistic, and its priests were famously jealous guardians of their cults. It's doubtful they would have taken too kindly to a monotheistic faith that would have ended their faith and the power of the priests that went with it. A polytheistic Cleopatra dynasty Egypt would have also had a very different experience with Islam. Arab Muslim conquerors captured Egypt in the 7th century. In our timeline, the Arabs took over a Christian Egypt, and the similarities between Christianity and Islam meant the Islamization of Egypt over time developed differently as to how it may have been had Egypt been a polytheistic pharaonic country. Had Cleopatra's dynasty survived until the Arab conquest, the war and the Islamization would have been very different. Perhaps something similar to the Muslim conquest of polytheistic India would have developed. As with all alternative history timelines, we will never know exactly how these alternative timelines may have developed. But in short, had Cleopatra won against the Romans and established her own dynasty, the history of Egypt, and by extension the world, could have developed very differently. Thanks for watching everyone. Don't forget to like, share and subscribe. Thank you.